Details about the explosion that's rocking the town of West, 20 miles north of Waco. A fertilizer plant exploded there just before 8 o'clock this evening. A firefighter from the nearby community of Lacey Lakeview tells YNN that a nursing home across the street from the plant has collapsed and people may be trapped inside. Our first visuals coming in of an explosion at a fertilizer plant in the town of West. These are live images you're seeing. West is a small community of just about 2,800 people, 18 miles north of Waco. Take a look at live images now coming out of West. This is the emergency response now. It looks like they're surrounding what looks like a field house. A lot of people were at a football field just meters or very close to this field house earlier, and we just got some information from our reporter Rex Castillo.
From what I understand, Heidi, talking to some first responders here, the football field has been evacuated and moved to another location. It seems that the command center area is either being moved to this West Community Center or to another location that I have not been able to locate right now.
And what's the reason for them to evacuate that football field?
What the officials have told me is that the danger is still there of a possible third explosion.
Can you tell us just what it's like to be on the ground there?
It is very, very hectic right now. We have cars parked all over the lawn. The roads have pretty much been bumper to bumper of emergency vehicles, both fire and ambulances. It seems right now that the biggest concern is to get the most severely wounded, whether they be elderly or other injuries, to get them to safety as much as possible. I have seen a multitude of injuries from people having to be carried out in stretchers into ambulances, to people walking around with braces, some with head injuries, some with arm injuries, others with more assistance medically. As of right now, we do have some elderly being transported away in wheelchairs.
There is still a very active scene this evening in the town of West, Texas. After an explosion at a fertilizer plant around 7:50 this evening, the entire town is being evacuated. Right now, Marty with the West Independent School District is joining me on the phone.
I was actually at my home to actually go see what was going on up there at the plant because it had caught in fire. For its location next to one of our campuses, I was a little concerned about what our status was going to be for school in future days if something were to happen. As soon as I slipped my second shoe on, an explosion rocked my own house. And I live 2.5 to 3 miles away from that facility. We've had three of our 4 campuses, the buildings, because of this explosion, have been affected. One, I haven't been able to see it in daylight yet, but I'm thinking that it's probably completely obsolete now. We're not going to be able to use our intermediate campus that was located right by the explosion. We've got an older building. Our middle school is going to have some structural issues, and so is our new high school that was built less than 15 years ago. So we'll have to get daylight, upon us, and certainly to have some clearance from some structural engineers, and certainly get away from the danger that still exists there with that fertilizer. We do have a very close-knit community. We watch out for each other's kids. We attend our kids' weddings, and we attend our loved ones' funerals together. So when daylight gets here and we start figuring out what happened, and again, as long as we can be safe, we've got a lot of work ahead of us here in the town of West.
Well, thank you very much, Marty, and I certainly hope, as you mentioned, that funerals will not be the reason, that this community come together as this tragedy unfolds. We do not have numbers yet on exactly the number of injured or deceased, and we certainly hope those numbers are not high or non-existent. Thank you again, Marty, the superintendent of West ISD. We also want to take you at home to some video, some home video of the initial moment of the explosion. Here's a look at that.
It should collapse. There, looks like it's jumped out the window.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, you okay?
Dad?
You okay?
Dad, I can't hear.
Come here.
I can't hear. Get out of here. Please get out of here.
Oh my God.
Please get out of here. Please get out of here. Oh my God. Dad,
Tough to see, tough to hear there. As YouTube video we were just showing you of the initial moment of the blast. As we heard from eyewitnesses on the ground, there was initially a fire at the West fertilizer plant. So a lot of people already focused on that area. You saw the flames shooting up from the plant, but what they weren't expecting was that blast that just shook the video we just saw. We return to our breaking news coverage of the explosion in the town of West Texas. A DPS press conference that happened shortly a few minutes ago told our reporter Rex Castillo some grim numbers that more than 100 people are believed to be injured, and the unconfirmed number of possible fatalities, according to these officials, possibly 50 to 75. Now, these numbers we're still working on confirming. We have a guest on the phone, Mr. Bill Tarleton, who I understand, Bill, you live in West and you volunteer to be a first responder. What did you see when you first got there?
It's an extremely intense flame. It's a very, very bad fire. A lot of damage in the several block area. I parked over at the high school and walked toward, there was one injured firefighter that we assisted and loaded him on the ambulance. And I visited with other firefighters there who had fellow firefighters that could not get out.
Bill, I know this must be so tough for you seeing this in a community that you live in where it's so tight-knit. All these people that you helped and even some that you said you could not reach, did and do you know any of them personally?
No, I knew the names, but the ones that were mentioned to me that we know of, that they knew of, that they told me, I did not know them personally. I heard their names and knew of them, but did not know them personally.
And you said that you helped initially in moving some of these injured. Was it to that football field that was initially set up as the triage center? Describe that.
That's where I went. A lot of them had already been moved there by the time I got there. We were just helping assist them once they got there.
What kind of medical?
I did not actually move any of them from the scene. Where I was on the scene was too intense to get close to.
And so I understand there are still flames happening as we speak.
Yes.
We did hear some good news, at least from firefighters, that as of at least an hour ago, the flames were controlled. Of course, that doesn't mean they were put out. And as you just mentioned, anything can happen when the weather changes.
Right. And I think it is definitely in good hands. But I'm sure they will keep a cautious eye on it until they get it.
Bill, where are you at now, Bill?
I am back over on the south side of town. I live on the south side of town, and that's where I am right this moment. I just came in for the interview.
And you are being allowed to stay at your home tonight?
Yes, and we do have. I know it reports that electricity has been cut to the town, and there parts of the electricity. Parts of the town they'll still have electricity, and we still do it. That's just part of town.
Well, being a longtime resident of West, talk about the importance of this fertilizer plant. I mean, was it a major employer, and did you know of any issues, perhaps safety concerns with it?
I didn't know of any, and I have not lived in West that long. I've been here about 6 years, but I did not know of any concerns. I'm sure. I don't, other than that it was relatively close to some of the residential and school areas. And actually, I think the fertilizer plant had been there for many years, and I think the town kind of built around it.
Right, since the 1950s, from what I've learned.
Right.
As far as where you are at now, do you smell any chemicals in the air or feel endangered in any way?
No, not now. But that's the concern, is when the wind shifts back out, that could be a possibility.
You were there, seeing some of the worst of it. What's going through your head?
Oh, your thoughts and prayers are, of course, with the families, because there are going to be quite a few people affected by this. And so it's a very tight-knit community, and a lot of the people have been here all their lives, and a lot are related. And it's going to have a huge ripple effect. It's going to be it's a sad deal. But it's also a strong community, and we'll go forward.
In your years as a first responder, I mean, could you ever have prepared for this evening?
No, no, I don't think so. I mean, you do prepare for it, and you think you are, but it is it's almost surreal. It definitely looks as close to a war zone that I've ever seen.
Well, Bill, I hope you do rest tonight. Thank you so much for the work you've done. I'm sure everyone in West extend their full appreciation to you and all the first responders who have risked so much to help.
It's been a huge team effort.
All right.
Thanks for your interest and thought.
Thank you for your time, Bill. And we just got word now that our correspondent on the ground there, John Salazar, can join us live. There he is at a media staging center. John, can you shed some light on what's going on where you're at?
Yeah, Heidi, I want to give you some of the latest information that we received from DPS not too long ago. A DPS public information officer said that no more help is needed. This place is saturated not only with volunteers that have showed up to help out in the aftermath of the massive explosion, but also emergency personnel. They've got plenty of firefighters and law enforcement in the area. Also, all the gas is shut down in the area as we speak for further precaution, as we know that the fertilizer is still smoldering at the fertilizer plant, and there's a massive search and rescue that is ongoing door to door, according to DPS. Now, another interesting footnote that we heard just moments ago via email, that this massive explosion registered a 2.1 on the Richter scale, an incredible blast that was able to get picked up by scientists. Now, we were able to speak to a local reverend earlier that said he saw this entire thing envelop, as well as what the DPS trooper saw once he went inside the location. Take a listen.
And you can just see this big fire, and then all of a sudden it dies down, and then all of a sudden it goes back up, and then you just see the big explosion. Everybody started running, kind of like ducking, just shook the ground. My daughter, she lived about 2 blocks over. We goes over, and her house is just demolished. Her pickup is demolished. Everything is demolished over there.
I can tell you I was there. I walked through the blast area. I searched some houses earlier tonight. Massive, just like Iraq, just like the Murray building in Oklahoma City.
Just looked just like a war zone. Never seen nothing like it in my life except for on television. It's like a war zone, you know. It's very shocking, very shocking.
Yeah, the daughter of that reverend is also is on the local school board, the West School Board. That gentleman said that his daughter's house is completely blown up, and it won't be until daylight until we can get a first-hand look of just the damage that has occurred.
We return to our live coverage of the explosion in West Texas. We do now have some numbers about the injured. According to the CEO of Hillcrest Baptist Medical Center in Waco, more than 100 patients are currently there. Parkland Hospital in Dallas has seen 9 patients, and 2 children have been taken to McLean Children's Hospital in Temple. For those of you at home who are feeling the itch to help, and I know there's certainly many of you out there, officials are saying at this point, doing nothing is actually the best you can do. Just take in the information and be patient, because right now there are so many people in West already. Things are becoming more crowded, more complicated, and at this point, because flames are still raging, they just want to make sure everyone stays safe and that no one who isn't immediately needed is present. So they're asking people not to go to West anymore. In fact, you won't get in because those roads have been blocked. But earlier, the CEO of thank you so much for watching our coverage this evening. We hope that we're able to provide you with the latest information. That's what we've been doing. That's what we've been putting our correspondents out there on the field to do. Bringing you the stories of these first responders and community members who have been so brave in this time of trial, coming together and helping this town get a grasp of the situation and to eventually heal.